The Galactic Military Academy had accepted students from 247 species over its 3-century history. When Earth applied for admission, the Administration Council debated for months before reluctantly approving their first human cadet. Nobody expected Marcus Webb to survive orientation week. Instructor Jeanthal watched the human struggle through the first day's basic fitness assessment. The standard course was designed for average galactic physiology, nothing extreme, just enough to measure baseline capabilities. Marcus finished dead last, his face flushed an alarming shade of red, his primitive respiratory system heaving. "Perhaps we made a mistake," Jeanthal murmured to his colleague. "Deathworlders may be hardy on their own planet, but here." 3 months later, Jeanthal would remember those words with profound irony. The survival course was meant to be challenging. Cadets were dropped in the Kreshenar wilderness, a moderately dangerous environment by galactic standards, with minimal supplies and 5 days to reach extraction. Most species sent rescue teams for at least 2 or 3 cadets each cycle. Marcus was dropped in Zone 7, a temperate forest with native predators no larger than a standard cargo container. The monitoring team settled in to observe, expecting to trigger his emergency beacon within the first night. Instead, they watched in growing confusion as the human did something unprecedented. He thrived. While other cadets cautiously established defensive perimeters, Marcus built a shelter from branches and leaves in under an hour. When the Vrelian cadet triggered his beacon after encountering a mid-sized predator, Marcus was roasting some native plant tuber over a fire he'd created by rubbing sticks together. "Impossible," breathed Communications Officer Plix. "Fire creation requires advanced tools or energy weapons." "Not on Earth, apparently," Jeanthal replied, reviewing Marcus's homeworld file with new attention. By day 3, Marcus had fashioned a spear, trapped 2 small creatures for food, and purified water using a method that seemed to involve boiling and condensation. He reached the extraction point a full day early, well-fed and apparently relaxed, having treated the entire exercise like a casual camping trip. The real lesson came during the crisis response simulation. The scenario was brutal by design: a ship crash in hostile territory, limited resources, injured crew members, and environmental hazards. It was meant to test leadership under extreme stress. Most cadet teams took casualties, simulated, but counted against their final scores. Marcus's team included a Zalarian, 2 Mothkari, a Felixian, and a Vrathnian. 5 species who had never worked together, led by the Deathworlder who'd barely passed academic courses. The first crisis hit immediately: toxic atmosphere leak. While other teams scrambled for environmental suits, Marcus calmly tore strips from his uniform, soaked them in water, and created makeshift breathing filters. "It's not perfect," he told his bewildered team, "but it'll keep you alive for the next hour while we fix the actual problem." The Zalarian, Krevenael, watched in amazement as Marcus assessed their situation with practiced efficiency. The human's academic scores might have been mediocre, but his practical intelligence was extraordinary. "You've done this before," Krevenael observed. "Sort of," Marcus shrugged. "My dad used to take me hiking in places where one mistake meant you died. He called it character building. I called it, why is our family like this?" Over the next simulated week, Marcus's team faced catastrophic equipment failures, hostile fauna, severe injuries, and resource scarcity. Each time, while other teams panicked or followed protocol that didn't quite fit the situation, Marcus improvised solutions that shouldn't have worked but somehow did. He set a broken bone using branches and torn fabric. He created a water purification system from wreckage. He fortified their shelter against predators using psychological principles, making it look more dangerous than it was. When the Mothkari cadet developed an allergic reaction to native pollen, Marcus somehow intuited which local plants had antihistamine properties. "How do you know this?" his team asked repeatedly. "Honestly? I'm just applying basic Earth survival skills. This place is pretty tame compared to, like, Australia." By the end of the simulation, Marcus's team had the highest survival rating in Academy history. 0 casualties, all objectives completed, and they'd even managed to salvage more equipment than the scenario designers thought possible. The after-action briefing was silent as instructors reviewed the footage. Finally, Commandant Srelvor spoke. "I see now that we've been evaluating Deathworlders incorrectly. We assumed their dangerous homeworld made them physically resilient. We missed the more important adaptation." She turned to the assembled faculty. "Humans don't just survive extreme environments. They've been trained by their entire evolutionary history to treat catastrophe as a solvable problem. While we designed scenarios to test maximum stress tolerance, we accidentally created the exact conditions where humans excel." Jeanthal thought back to Marcus's first day, struggling, exhausted, seemingly out of his depth. He understood now. That wasn't weakness. That was a human warming up. Within a year, the Academy revised its entire curriculum. The survival course was redesigned, not made easier, but recalibrated to challenge species who had evolved different advantages. Marcus became a teaching assistant, helping instructors understand the Deathworlder perspective. But the real change was philosophical. Every alien species learned the same lesson: when you evolve on a planet that's actively trying to kill you, you don't develop fear of catastrophe. You develop an almost offensive confidence that catastrophe is just another Tuesday. And that, the galaxy realized, made humans the most dangerous allies, and the most terrifying enemies anyone could ask for.